All right, ladies and gentlemen, today on the Leadership to Wealth podcast, we have a guest who, in the last 2 years, as a result of COVID, has completely turned around his financial picture and his entire life, starting 3 businesses, a nonprofit and profit as well, and really helping other people to be able to create wealth in their own lives in different areas. Philanthropy is really close to his heart, but so is technology and so is learning. And he shares really about how going from a point where he had to realize that he was stupid, and that leading to him getting smarter, educating himself, and putting himself onto a path, leading himself to the wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, Reynaldo Santana.
Hello, folks. This is Reynaldo Santana on Leadership to Wealth podcast.
All right, guys. So today's guest, Reynaldo Santana, in the house. Reynaldo, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Neil. It's great to be here. It's great to have listeners on here today as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, as we're going to go in talking a little bit about you as a real estate investor, you as a philanthropist, the secrets that you've learned to being out there and living an amazing life, leading yourself to the wealth. I've got to ask, you've got a whole list, you've got a whole 2 walls there with plaques and pictures. You got to fill us in a little bit about what's going on behind you, because it looks like a wall of fame.
Right, it does. There's actually another wall over here too with other stuff. But I don't do it for ego. I do it for motivation, because one thing that I learned all these years is you have to be self-motivated. And sometimes life hits you really hard with roadblocks and challenges, and sometimes you have to look yourself in the mirror, right? And for me is looking at my history, looking at my past and who I've become over the years. This wall was completely, it had nothing on it, right? And little by little, it became until you see right what it is right now, full of awards and accomplishments and medals and newspapers, articles, all that stuff. So I still use it until today when I feel down, depressed, or things not going the way I want it to go, or again I failed again, or something happens. It reminds me that, hey, if you can look up, you can get up, right? And
yes,
and each of these awards brings a memory, brings a story behind it, a story of someone being persistent, someone trying, someone not giving up. So it fuels you, or it fuels me, right? To keep going forward. So this is all a combination of academics, of music competition, business competitions, things I'm doing for the communities. It's also, let me see if I remember, also just getting certifications for speaking at different public, universities in different countries, believe it or not. In Mexico, I have like 7 of these or 8 of these, where I spoke to 500 to 1,000 students, professors on the future of education, the future of technology, and how it's going to change their world and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of everything. But again, my life is I say I'm blessed. My life is transformational. It's influential as well, because you're talking to someone who grew up in the projects. I didn't grow into a rich family. We come from hardworking families. I mean, my parents, they're from the Dominican Republic. And the reason why they came here, they migrated here with the families, so that we can have a better life and more opportunities. So growing up in a household where, hard work is in my blood. If you don't work, you don't eat kind of mentality. And, that's in my DNA. At the same time, they raised me up in a church called Congregación Mita, which is in English, Congregation Mita. It's a Christian church. They taught me great values and things that I grew up with, which is teaching, treat people like they're your brother or sister. Treat them with so much love. And within all my years of living on this earth, everybody I come across, I've treated them with so much respect and love. And in return, good things happen to you, right? So that's a little bit about me a little bit, and also about this wall and what's happening.
Right. Love it. Well, and you even got a little bit of Les Brown in there. His great quote. If you're gonna fall down, try and fall on your face. Try and fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up.
That's
Yeah,
right. It's not over until I win.
that's right. Love Les
I met him. I
Brown,
met
man.
him once. I'm happy I had a chance to meet him in his son too,
Yeah.
here in Boston.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's amazing. I actually well I've seen him speak, and I actually had an opportunity to meet him, and there was just the miscommunication with timings, and it ended up that he was at a location that I couldn't get to within the timing when we found out what the actual time was, and I was
Wow.
like, "Oh man, I missed an opportunity to meet such a hero." So
It's
it was
okay.
unfortunate, but yeah, great guy, wonderful impact on the world, and that
Definitely.
how is that to meet him?
It was great, man. I mean, just how you see him, on YouTube videos. I mean, he's the
Yeah,
same personality. I mean,
yeah,
so professional. Like it was hosted at Harvard University, and I was
yeah,
there. And he comes in like 15 minutes early to literally try his best to shake everybody's hands and have a conversation with everybody in the room
yeah.
before he speaks. So it's great to meet him and his son. His son has the same personality, a lot of energy, speaking just like his father. Similar
Mm.
voice. That kind of freaked me out. A very similar voice. But
Miss Baby Brown's baby boy.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah,
but listen, I've listened to him since I've been in college. I mean, that's
yeah,
one of the reasons you'll see why I got through college is listening to people like Les Brown, Zig
yeah,
Ziglar, Eric Thomas. I mean, all these great guys have beautiful stories. Because I was taught um, there's so many motivational speakers out there. Try to find the one that relates to you the most, right?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
was able to relate to Les Brown the most. Sorry about that. Because of schooling. Like I mentioned, um, I speak Spanish, I speak English. In my household growing up, we spoke Spanish, and in school we spoke English. I had an issue where in school I couldn't comprehend things quickly as my other peers. So they put me in some sort of a special education class, where I guess for students who learn slower, or a
yeah.
slower pace. And kids made fun of me. They thought I was special and everything else. And it hurt inside. They picked on me a lot. But inside I knew I wasn't a slow kid. I just had difficulty understanding because of my language barriers. But inside of me was growing this kid where yes, I was picked on, but I always wanted to prove them wrong, and I always worked really hard to make that possible. But Les Brown also had issues, right? When he was
Hmm.
growing up in class, people
Yeah,
thought he was mentally stupid or something. What it was, but he didn't give up, and he proved people wrong. And it really comes down to your mindset. And I think this is why he keeps repeating, "You have something special, right? You have greatness within you." And every time I heard that, that boosts me up with so much fire and energy. Because it's true, we all have something great within us, and we all have the possibilities to do things. But it really comes down to starting with your mindset, and that's what it's really important: how we train our mindsets versus being trained from others or what we watch on TV.
hmm,
So that's why I listen to Les Brown a lot, because I relate to his story a lot, and I care a lot about family and taking care of my parents too.
yeah. Was there something, as you were growing? It sounded like obviously in your college days something was starting to transition there for you as you started listening to him. What was there some type of catalyst that made you just go, I want to learn more and go down a different pathway?
Yeah, so actually, it started at a younger age than not just college. So it started at age 6, 7. Basically, there's a spiritual leader who passed away last year. His name is Aaron. He's a spiritual leader of the church that I attend, and he passed away last year, age 99. But he told my parents when I was age 6, is he learning music? And my parents were like, no, not yet. And he's like, teach him music, and you shall see what he does. And my parents play music as well, and my brother. But my parents taught me, and they taught me only for 1 hour per day, while my mom and dad were working. And I would practice 6 hours a day, right? So I was learning the key of success is repetition, but also practicing. And
Hmm.
of course, the first few months I didn't really practice that much because I didn't care. I was too busy with video games and running around, right? But my dad told me, if you practice, you become a better musician. And one day I gave up. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do what you're saying, this practice thing, and see what happens. Well, behold, 6 hours a day of practicing, I became a great trumpet player very quickly. And age 8, I was good enough to play first trumpet at the church band, and also playing taps for the military. So some of these things here is playing taps for the firefighters, police officers, and military since the age of 8, and I still do it till now. I'm 33 now. So anything involving military veterans is close to my heart because of that. And I still play, like I mentioned. So hold on to that story, okay? Because I learned a lot about practice. Now, we move on to age 9 or 10. I won't forget, I'm in a minivan with my mom and dad, my brother, and we're having breakfast. We're having Dunkin' Donuts. And I remember when, I had my one of my favorite breakfasts, which is cinnamon raisin bagel with cream cheese, toasted. Nice. Now you know. And I remember, I just ate that up literally very quickly as a young boy. And I remember that my mom, she handed me another bagel, cream cheese. I'm like, what? This is awesome. So I'm like halfway through it, and then I see that my mom's not eating. And I'm like, huh? We're all eating, so my mom. And then I asked her, why aren't you eating? She's like, well, because I see that you're hungry and I gave you mine. And at that point, I was so confused. I'm like, why would you do that? And then, after reflecting for another 5-10 minutes, I'm like, wow, she gave me her bagel. She didn't have to do that, but she did it because she loved me and she wanted me to eat more. And so at that young age, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make sure that as I keep growing up, I take care of my mom and dad, and that they have everything they need to be happy and successful, etc. Because at that young age, I learned what sacrifice means. So from that point on, there's always been a desire inside my heart to always take care of them and retire them as soon as possible. Because my parents, when they came here, they're working literally 50 to 70 hours a week in a shoe factory. So my grandma kind of raised me out part-time. And all that, as a young boy, I lived it, I seen it, and it has stayed inside of me. So it gave me kind of also purpose of, whatever I do in life, make sure you give back to your parents and take care of them, because they do things that we didn't understand when we were younger, but it was because they loved you. So that's a second thing that was growing, right? So we fast forward to 2009, 2012. I'm in college. I'm working at the Apple store, and this 6'3" medical doctor comes in the room, the sales floor, to buy an iPad, and I assist him. And he asks me, "Hey, can I ask you 3 questions?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." That's random. It was a history, science, math question. And if you don't know about me, but you see all these awards of academics, but I didn't like school at all. I didn't care about school whatsoever. I was straight A's for music and gym, nothing else, right? So and I barely passed high school with a 1.8 GPA, like literally just barely passed. So, right, I don't know. I don't care about school. So he asked me these 3 questions, which I answer wrong because I didn't know about stuff. And he's like, you know what? You're a stupid Dominican. And I'm like, excuse me? He's like, you heard me. You're a stupid Dominican. I'm like, all right, Ray, calm down. I mean, anyone in this shoes right here would just snap and you go over this guy. White Caucasian 6'3" guy calling me a stupid Dominican? Hells no, right? So, but I didn't say that. I kind of was silent for a few seconds, and I really reflected. I'm like, am I really happy where I am in life? Mm-hmm. Am I smart? And internally, I'm like, you know what? I'm not where I want to be. I'm not smart. I like to become smart. So I told him, Dr. Bartley, you're right. I'm a stupid Dominican. Can you help me please become a smart Dominican? Smart as you. And he's like, good answer. Here's my email and phone number. Contact me and we'll speak. So I'm like, yes, sir. So I emailed him once, 2, 3, 4, 5. The guy ignored me completely. And I tried for the 6th, 7th time to reach out to him, and he got back to me. And he said, let's have coffee, 9 a.m., Starbucks tomorrow. Boom. I'm like, wow, okay, let's do it. So when I got there, he's like, do you know why I'm here today, Reynaldo? I'm like, well, because I reached out to you. He's like, not only that, you reached out to me like 5, 6, 7 times, which tells me something about yourself, that you're hungry, you're ambitious, and you really want to change and become a better man. I'm like, yes, sir. And he's like, I'm going to help you. So within, the next 2, 3 years, the guy took me under his wings. He's like, "What do you want to be?" I said, "A successful business person." He's like, "All right, I'm gonna teach you about history. I'm gonna teach you about eating different types of food of different cultures. I'm gonna have you increase your vocabulary, read more books, like everything." And I'm like, "Wow, this is cool." But so as I'm growing up, and I'm in now my junior senior years of college, he bestowed me those discipline. He inspired me to have three concentrations in college, to go for my master's. He inspired me to learn more languages. He inspired me to read more and to understand and to value education, and how that is important for us moving forward. Because he's like, in life they can take everything away from you except your mind and your knowledge, and it's so true. So that's where everything started. I mean, you have the purpose of the discipline to practice to become better, uh, the purpose of helping my parents in internal way, emotions, um, and then also the mentorship of, hey, education is key to success. You need to have that, or that discipline to keep learning. Learn doesn't stop after college or after high school or whatever. It keeps going for your entire life. So all those three things kind of made me who I am today, and kind of apply that to work and other business ventures.
Wow, that is flat out amazing. We could talk about all three of those, but quite frankly, to have this individual speak to you in that way, I've got to ask the question: what was going on in your internal monologue there, your internal dialogue? What was going on there, and that allowed you to keep your temperament and instead respond with such a thoughtful answer rather than
Yeah,
taking it for it sounds to me like you should have been provoked. It sounds to me like you should have reacted, and probably not in the way that you did. So what was
yeah.
it that that brought that response?
It was all the years of being bullied, being picked on for not being smart and being in special ed classes, and me feeling that not always being 100%, not being part of this regular class. I always felt behind. And when he said that to me, I was completely honest with myself. I'm like, you know what? I am not smart, and I'm not happy where I am at in terms of my mindset and knowledge. I like to become better. Like, it came to a point where you just get tired, and you just kind of go, you be honest with yourself. I'm not happy with who I am and where I'm at right now with my knowledge, and where it should be. Let me be honest with myself. You know what? I'm not smart. I need help. Help me. You know,
Yeah.
and this same mentality is also what helped me in college. There are times where I sucked at math and calculus. I failed
Yeah.
like 2, 3 times, and I'm like, I went to tutor. I'm like, listen, I need help.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I felt embarrassed going to the tutoring center every single day, and that was the ego thing. And it came to a point where I just dropped it. I'm like, you know what? I need help. And every single
Hmm.
day I went to a tutoring center to get tutored in math, until I got it. I got that A. So
Wow.
and that taught me in life that we're all not perfect. We all
Yes.
have struggles. We all have weaknesses. Drop the ego. Be honest to yourself and get the help that you need. That's it. You
Wow.
have to live. You have to live yourself forever.
Yeah.
So you have only one life. So make it count. You know. So
Absolutely. I
yeah,
think I think you've just literally hit on probably one of the greatest keys to any level of success in anything you want to achieve in, and that is having that type of honesty and acknowledging I do not know and I am not where I want to be,
that's right.
and then being willing to then take the next step. But forget about the next step. If you can't recognize where you are, there is no next step ever appears. You have to be
Yeah,
able to take that moment of silence and go, I, I'm not where I
that's
want to
right.
be, right? How else can you ever ask a question to this doctor and say, first of all, admit I'm not where I want to be. Can you help me change that? That's absolutely amazing.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's still sad to today. I still have friends, professionals that come up to me. They're like, how do you do it? How do you get to travel a lot? How do you get to have so much fun and and change and these different things? I mean, he's like, and they say I'm not happy with my situation. I mean, I work all these hours. I do this and this and this. I'm not happy. I'm like, dude, if you're not happy with the situation, then change it. You have the power to change your situation, or at least seek help, seek resources, and little by little, you start making those tweaks until you get to where you want to be. But I still have friends that are still stuck, in the first block, the first job that they have after college, and they're not happy, they're not growing. So, I mean, I'm happy that at this young age, I was able to be honest with myself and be like, you know what, I'm not happy. Let me do what I have to do to be happy. And that means number one is to be honest with myself and make the changes that I have to go through, even though if it's uncomfortable, but it'll get me to be comfortable. And that's one of what Eric Thomason, the speaker, says. To be comfortable, you have to be uncomfortable. And when you're going through something uncomfortable, that means that you're growing, and to your point about, the importance of failing, right? It's so important. And when I go out and speak in public, I try to integrate these two words. So when it comes to fail, don't look at it as, yeah, I'm a failure or I'm failing in X, Y, and Z. Look at it as first attempt in learning. And that would change your whole mindset, right? And the second word is fear, right? We all, for some reason, grow up with the word, oh, fear. I'm scared of this. I'm scared of that. What would happen if, for all the listeners today who are young or new parents, if you teach yourself or teach your kids or the next generation that fear stands for face everything and rise, it's a game changer. Game changer. You won't be scared of nothing.
I'm just taking a couple of notes here, so
It's fine. It's fine. But we change those two mindsets, and you are unstoppable.
if you guys are listening right now and you're wondering what part are you writing down, Neil, I'm literally writing down both of his the acronyms there. First of all, when it comes to failing, first attempt in learning, and then secondly, fear being face everything and rise. And I love both of that because people will hear me talk about this often, redefining what it means to fail. I love to fail. I push for it because the more times I fail, the closer. It's the Michael Jordan. He talks about it over and over again. He says, I've failed and failed and failed and failed so many times in my life, and that's why I succeed. And you realize that all of your successes come out of the failure. And you just shared about the honesty of realizing where you were at. I remember I was failing at, I'm in finance, specifically with mortgages and home finance. And I was failing at it. I didn't, I was trying to learn and I couldn't, it just wasn't happening. And I remember meeting one of my mentors, Shami, and Shami, he started teaching me about a specific area. And I asked him every question. I was like, I don't know any of this stuff. And he would share with me. And it's an ultimate career. I've been doing it and I've had fun with it for so long. I've been teaching people how to make money. And, now we call it hard money lending and stuff like that. But, all of this stuff. But all of that came out of, quite frankly, failing. And so I think the message that you're talking about here, not only in being honest with yourself, but literally redefining what it means to fail, is such a powerful message.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what age you are. As soon as you shift your mindset on what is behind the word failure or fear, you're unstoppable, like I mentioned. And going forward with your life, you keep growing. Because if it wasn't for my mind shift many years ago, I would not be where I am today. And the cool thing is that this is the most beautiful thing about life is every day is a new day. So if you're listening and you're going through a struggle and you're going through X, Y, and Z, tomorrow's a new day to shift your mindset, have new habits, have new goals, execute. That's it. execute. So yeah, so those sort of things kind of help me out, Neil. I mean, even my father, I remember a funny story. I mean, it may be funny for myself or no one else, but anyways, here in Massachusetts, we have snow, we have ice, etc. I remember I think it was 14 or 17 years old, and I'm in my backyard and I slipped on ice, and somehow I hit my head and I was bleeding behind my head, and you know, any other father would pick you up. My dad was like, "You're growing up, son. Get up," and he walked away. I'm like, "I'm really bleeding in my head." Yeah, he didn't care. I mean, he did care, but he's teaching me a lesson. That you know, again, regardless of what happened in life, you have to get up. And sometimes, and I know for most of us listening today, we may feel alone, and we may be alone. But at the end of the day, you have yourself, and you have to learn how to, count on yourself and get up and push forward. Because one thing I learned also within my young years is sometimes we wait to be assisted. We wait for opportunities to come to us. And I think I have to blame the school system in some ways because I mean, I get it. If you need help, you ask the teacher for help, right? And you always count on that teacher coming over and helping you out for all the 12 years since kindergarten to senior year. So you get used to that pattern. And then once they get to corporate, they think they have that assistance as before, but their boss is working remotely and not available every day. And now you're stuck doing this work that you have no idea what to do. And now you get criticized and it's downhill from there. I've been there. Again, I'm speaking from experience. But I learned that we have to be self-starters, and you have to depend on yourself, and you have to seek answers. You have to ask more questions. And again, you're talking to a guy who was, who I'm an extrovert, but how to become introvert as well, because life teaches you that sometimes you have to switch depending on the scenario, the situation. But for those that are listening, opportunities don't come your way because they come your way. You have to go seek and find it, and you have to. Once you find it, you have to take good care of it and make it grow for you, and that's all by self-starting. So I learned that the hard way. I mean, I wasn't really, again, the self-starter type. I was always waiting for help. But again, it's part of it.
Oh, that's such a great point, and because so many times people can say, "Well, I'm just waiting for an opportunity to come by, right? I'm looking for that opportunity," and I'll be like, "Well, why not create that opportunity?" And I think that's what literally you're talking about right there. It's this is going to sound funny, but I've got a whiteboard and I've always got a list of different items that I'm moving forward, and you never know exactly when this item is going to pop, so to say, when it's going to be ready. But if you continue, it's kind of like growing something. You got to put the seeds into the ground.
That's right.
And you don't know exactly when it's going to pop through that soil, but you know that if you plant it at some point, you're going to be able to harvest it, right?
That's right. No, you got it. And for those folks that are listening, because if I was listening, I would have been like, yeah, but once you become successful, I mean, from that point, it's hard to fall down and fail. And then, so you're all set once you make it up there. Let me tell you something. That's not true. I failed many times and I've fallen many times, rock bottom. And even my credit went down to 430. I'm not embarrassed to say, you know what, because there's many of us down there too. And that's fine. And how to rebuild it. But a quick story for you guys. This is a recent story, or recent in terms of 2020. But I got married February 28th, 2020, a few days ago, actually, anniversary.
Wow.
2 years.
Right before.
I know. So, and then my wife, she's from Colombia. So I was in Colombia. We got married over there. And the next day I had to come back to work. And the borders closed, so I didn't see her for 7 months. That was pretty bad. But I was working at a new job where I was head of business development for North America for a Czech Republic company. They're called View Engineers. And they produced the #1 VR headset in the world. It's a $10,000 a piece, very expensive. My clients were BMW, Lamborghini, Ferrari, NASA, the military branches. I mean, I had some big clients. And, after I was hired in December, literally four or 5 months later, I got laid off because of COVID. And I'm like, oh boy, I just got married in February. Had the dream job that I always wanted, and I just lost my job. And oh boy, everything's closed because of COVID. No one's hiring. I've tried. I'm stuck, right? Now, keep in mind, my background, the past 12 years, I've been in tech. And I'm trying to find jobs in banking and finance and other stuff, and no one's hiring because of COVID. It's all frozen. And at that point, I'm on my home desk, and I'm like, all right, so here we are, another roadblock in life. What to do? And I said, you know what? No, now that we're all stuck at home, good thing I have a savings account, enough for like 6 months, or yeah, about 6 months. I'm like, let me do what I've always also wanted to do in my life, and that is to get into real estate. And keep in mind, I have no real estate experience, no license, nothing. I'm starting from zero, a new industry. After 12 years, after college, being focused on tech, I started a new career. And what I did is I first seeked help. I went to my best friend Steven, who had a mortgage company. I said, hey, can I intern for you for a month so I can just
my man Steven.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Steven. Just so I can get the verbiage and just get in there somehow. And he sent me books to read, and I read them. And then I went to the MIT for their online program for real estate, commercial real estate analysis investments. And I also did the Harvard Business School alternative investments. Again, for vocabulary and learning purposes and networking. Now, keep in mind, if you remember what I said earlier, I was not a student kind of person. I didn't like academics. I didn't like school, right?
Right.
Now, you're speaking to the guy who spent, literally $6,000 in education, knowing that he had no job. He was using his savings to make this happen. Someone who had to take care of his wife from long distance and also his parents, right? I'm making these moves that, it's risky. That's another thing, folks. Sometimes you have to take a risk. You have to jump. Even though you're scared, you have to jump. Not knowing what the foreseen is going to be. But I did that because I learned in life, education is key, right? So I paid this much money to get myself into these academics, to pay for a real estate coach, to learn the business. And what happened was that after 2 months of academics, it took me 2 weeks to make $12,000 in real estate.
Wow.
I do wholesaling. So for those folks listening, 2 weeks to have $12,000 in real estate, that's not bad. So I made my money back plus some profit, right? Now I'm happy, I'm motivated. I'm like, this is awesome, this works. But to show you the importance of taking jumps, these risks, self-learning, educate yourself, network with people, gets you to different places. Now we fast forward, from 2020 to 2022. I now have my nonprofit focused on building affordable homes in real estate. I now have a real estate for-profit business where I raise capital for investors and kind of learn the acquisition part of things and development, which was pretty cool. And I do consultations for PropTech, which is property technologies. And number 3, I'm also bringing to Massachusetts 3D printing. For those folks that don't know what 3D printing is, it's basically a big machine. It's like a robot where you can design your home on a computer software, and then the printer robot kind of prints out the house for you, right? And that's all green, sustainable energy stuff. It's all green technologies.
Are you talking about the like literally the industrial construction printers?
Yeah, the big ones.
Holy crow! I've seen this technology. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yes. You got me. I love it. Yeah.
I think big, and anything I do, I learn in life. Think big, do social impact, many lives, but go big. If not, go home. It's like it's true. That's just who I am. I remember when I had my first corporate job at 23. I was at Bose, great company, the speakers, right, smart people. But I was waking up every morning from 7 a.m. and working from 8 to 5, and I felt like there was more to life than just working 8 to 5 job and making good money, and then later on get married, have kids, and just boom, I'm done and goodbye. I felt that there's so much more to life than that. And that's what inspired me to think big and do these impossible things, but because they're all possible. It first starts with a dream, a vision, and then you share that vision with other folks. They feel that energy and they join you in that mission. I always tell people, I do big things and all that stuff, but I can't do it alone. I do it with other people as well who have the same interest. So that is just a story, an example very quickly of, hey, someone who successful in some ways. He's doing what he wants to do. He's traveling. He's doing these different experiences. And one day COVID comes and everything's taken away. And now what? I got to start from zero again. I started a new industry, and now 2 years later, I built this type of beautiful thing, right? These organizations, the work that we're doing. So everything is possible. It comes down to you and your mindsets and how you speak to yourself and what you envision. Which, by the way, I'm going to pause right there, and I'm going to say, back in high school, I mentioned I barely passed with a 1.8 GPA. If you remember that, I was in the last row of my class, and I felt bad. I mean, I was happy I was graduating, but I felt bad because, again, I was being honest with myself. I'm like, damn, am I that stupid? Like, come on, I can do better than that. I was just lazy. And so my friends on the graduation stage open up the ceremony and everything else, and I'm like, you know what, Ray? In 4 or 5 years, I'm going to be on that stage. 5 years later, I'm on that graduation stage. I have the Chancellor's Medal, which they only give out to 7 students out of 2,000 students for community service and leadership. Hey, I teared on that stage. I was tearing up because I remembered I was going back now 5 years, my high school graduation, what I told myself. And the words that came from my mouth became a reality. So that's to show you that your words are powerful and the way you think is powerful. So I know before I used to hear that, and I'm like, that's cheesy. Get out of here. That's yeah, right. Hey, it happened to me. It can happen to you.
Oh, Reynaldo, absolutely. I mean, I want to ask this question for how you know yourself, and because I know I can look in the mirror and know myself as community, connection, integrity, and probably the one that resonates the strongest for me is juggernaut. I've recognized that story of the tortoise and the hare, the rabbit and the hare, and I was like, okay, I might not be the fastest, strongest, the smartest, any of these things, but you put a wall in front of me, I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna run through it, and so I know this about myself, and it allows me to have a bit of an indomitable spirit, right? Even when the subconscious tries to say, "Are you sure you can do this? And what about this?" And you may fail again. Well, that's okay, because that's only my first attempt in learning. So,
amen. You say it.
There might be some fear, but I'm going to face everything and rise. So,
you know what? Can I share? Yeah, go on. I'm sorry.
I know that. So I was just going to say, when you look in the mirror, is there, how do you know yourself?
That's a great question. I think experiences tells you who you are. And I think having self conversations, people think it's crazy to speak to yourself. It's not crazy. I think it's actually very healthy to speak to yourself and have a conversation. But yeah, it's basically a summary of experiences kind of has taught me who I am. And just thinking about memories also tells me who I am. I mean, it's the same thing, but Steve Jobs said something at a graduation that was, look at your life going backwards because it will make sense. And when I done that, I'm like, wow, he's right. Everything makes sense and everything clicks. And I'm happy that I went through struggles. I'm happy that I failed that. I'm happy I didn't take that path. I'm happy this person got in the way. It's so true. And you know what I mean? It's so true. So, wow. So
come on, you got me. Absolutely. I look back and it's like people always ask the question, they probably ask you the question as well. If you look back, what would you change? And I'm like, nothing. If I change it, I might mess the whole thing up. Instead, I look at that and go, are there low points? Absolutely. But isn't that just what led us to continue to move forward? Reynaldo, you absolutely got me right there. Like, I look back, people ask me all the time about, what would you change? And I think to myself, I wouldn't change anything because it's oftentimes as you look back, right, those low moments are really the things that propelled me forward. They're where I learned the most. It's those times where I had to be honest, back to where you started off. It's where I had to be honest with myself, acknowledge that I didn't know, and then move forward. And I think that's what you're really pointing out for us today, is that that has been a catalyst for you all through your life. And some people might say you're young to have gotten this much learning, but it doesn't matter. This is the learning that you've gotten.
That's right. One thing I want to mention, Neil, is I learned this from Eric Thompson, the speaker, and he's like, life is like a golf ball. I know, and there's a reason why. The reason why golf ball have dimples is because it goes farther when it has dimples. When it has no dimples, it doesn't go that far when you hit it. So when you relate it to life, is the more hits you have in life, the battles, the roadblocks, that's just God polishing you, so you can go a lot farther in life than what you think it is.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So
Yeah.
those folks that are saying, yeah, you know, Ray, I'm thinking about my life going backwards. It's all been negative, 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 negative. Well, I can say, dude, a negative is a positive. So if you think about it, I mean, you're just getting molded because life has something bigger for you than what you think it is, and it's prepping you because it means you can take a lot more hits than other people can take. So you're just getting stronger and stronger, and your story is becoming a lot more beautiful than you think it is. Think about your life story. Yeah, you're going through a thunderstorm, but after every thunderstorm, the sun comes out. You know, it may be tomorrow, it may be a year, it may be 3 years, 5 years, but it's bound to happen. The sun's going to come out in your life, and it's going to be a beautiful thing.
That's great. Yes, absolutely. The sun will come up, and I've got to ask a little bit more about. I want to ask a little bit more about the philanthropy and these things, the projects that you've been creating on that side, because you've done a lot in these 2 years, and it really is a testimony to what can be done. Even I don't know if you want to say it when your back's up against the wall. There's no wall there. The wall is only what we create. But to some effect, your back was up against the wall, and you've created a lot in the last 2 years. Tell us a little bit more about the philanthropy.
Sure. Basically, I have an organization called Impact Annex. It's actually another for-profit that I manage. Another one, right? But I do it seasonally, and basically, yes. So basically, I have an organization called Impact Annex, where I help organizations build a philanthropic arm to their organization. And how I do that is, for example, if you're a for-profit, I kind of like to speak to the CEO or owner, or it can be a consultant or coach, and be like, hey, what do you really care about in life? Do you have a cause that you support? That can be Red Cross, it can be saving animals, kids, etc. Do you have something like that? And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. And for those that don't really have a cause that they support currently, I tell them, hey, default back into what you do for your for-profit. Rather than pitch, sell hard your product and services, how about if you teach people on how you help people? How do you help people with your products and services? Teach them on the pain points that you're trying to solve. And that creates a new type of mindset that I'm trying to push forward with this organization, and that is to give first before you receive. So if you can give first and educate people on what you do, then you're going to receive their business naturally, right? And you become a thought leader. You become you do goodwill for your community. You build trustworthiness, reputation. Most important thing, you build authority. So I help you kind of file and register this nonprofit to your business, either through Canada or the U.S. And then we focus on a marketing strategy that works best for you and the cause that you choose. And then I focus on one grant particularly called the Google Nonprofit Grant, because Google gives you $120,000 of Google ad credit every single year for a lifetime once you get it. And what's great about that is that you can test ads for different region, different states, different countries, different languages, races, you name it. That's the most important thing, is that money not from your pocket, but money that comes from your business. You can expand your nonprofit for fundraising purposes or to promote your mission. But the most important thing is that at the end of the day, you have a nonprofit and a for-profit. One that you're educating people, doing goodwill. The other one that you're helping people with their help, their need. So that's what I do for profits in a nutshell. I mean, and for those that are nonprofits that are existing, I just help them to obtain this grant because they're about Google Ads and how to use that platform efficiently, so they can scale up very quickly and automate their processes. So that's Impact Annex in a nutshell, very quickly. But I decided to do this because I knew that it will impact many businesses, especially today because of COVID. We've lost workers, we've lost operations. We don't have that much funds to dedicate to help our business grow. So I know there was a need for both nonprofit and for-profit. So this is something I tried by myself for the first time back in 2020, late 2020, early
Brilliant.
2021. My friend Brennan kind of did it for me once. I paid him like $2,500 for my own business. And when I saw that work and the impact it did for me, I'm like, let me turn this into a business and help people with this, because many of us are suffering right now, and we could use this help. That's number one. Number two, we need more positiveness. I can't say the word. We need to share more positiveness with our businesses, because not all about, we forgot the main purpose of what a business is meant for. It's not about money. It's about helping people with the need, and you have a specialized expertise in something that allows you to help other people. So again, drop the ego, stop being another pusher out there, and start giving back to people what you know, and help them out. Because today consumers have changed the way they buy. They like to do their due diligence. They like to go on Google and check who you are, what you do, etc. So if you can educate people on a front level base, it's going to go for you well, either or, just because of giving before you receive it.
Yeah. Wow, that's brilliant. Okay, I got to ask a question. I know we're hard up on time here. So what's next for Reynaldo Santana?
Yeah. Well, what's next is I'm planning to have a child this year or next year. We're working on it. So a little junior somewhere may come up. Thank you. So I'm just making sure I'm prepping the nest egg, so that when that baby comes, he or she, whatever it is, it's well prepared, it's where it's supported, everything's it's stable at home. So I'm preparing the nest, and looking to scale up the three organizations that I spoke today about: the ESG Housing Inc., which is the nonprofit, the for-profit of Impact Annex, and Santana Capital Group, which is the real estate one. That's it. And along the way is to teach people everything that I've done and how I did it. So close to providing mentorship and coaching to people. Because when I was younger, I met that Dr. Bartley guy, but that's because it happened naturally, right? But I think we need more mentors. We need more role models out there. So I'm trying to create a platform where I can upload my speaking engagements to the Boys and Girls Club, to YMCA, to put up there what I've done, put up there some of my failures, all like video series, and put a grant to it so I can expand that worldwide. Because again, my mission is to impact at least 1 billion people out there through business or through coaching and mentoring.
Wow. And
the best way to do that is to leverage what we have. That's the internet, folks. That's the internet. And I'll be surprised. Many people don't do this, but if you have content online, translate into different languages, and have let people have it access to other countries, because they're listening. I mean, you'd be surprised. When I was going to Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, man, these people, they love the American culture. They like to be like us, and anything that we can share with them, they love it, and they take it to their heart, and they implement it into their lives. And going to Mexico and speaking to all these students and professors really made a change in my life. I mean, I was speaking to indigenous people too, who lived in mountains, and just sharing them about technology and giving them a demonstration of the tech and everything else was beautiful, mind-blowing for them, but for me it was beautiful. I love to see people's faces smiling, and like, wow, the possibility there is right now in the world. And yes, there's a lot of possibilities. So that's why it's important to dream big, so yeah.
So how do people get a hold of you if they want to get more?
Yeah, so they can Google my name. I'm in Google. I'm on LinkedIn. Search Reynaldo Santana. I'm on Facebook too. And if you want to have a Zoom call with me, I mean, you can go to reynaldosantana.org. All the contact forms go back to me. Same thing with the impactannex.org, which is spelled ANNEX.org. Any contact form there leads back to me as well. So I'm happy to make some time, leaves a half hour, and learn about your situation and see how I can be a resource to you. Right. So,
love it. Thank you. Would love to talk more about how we can even do something here in Canada to help promote what you're talking about here. I think it sounds brilliant, and we need it in Canada just as much. So,
hey, oui. Je m'appelle Reynaldo. J'adore musique. Je suis américain, dominicain. I can speak French. No
there you go. Well, guys, it's been great having Reynaldo on the show. Reynaldo, thank you so much for joining us and sharing, just your vision, positivity, and, the ability to look at everything and rise from those situations, and be able to share that with us. And thank you so much for being on the show today.
Of course, Neil, I'll leave you and the listeners with one little thing that I learned from a great mentor, and that is, hey, you have something special inside. You have greatness within you. So bring it out. It's time. It's 2022. Let's go.
It's time, guys. Thanks a lot. We'll see you guys next time on the Leadership to Wealth podcast.